Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and across the table is Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, how are you, sir?
Man, you fucking moved all the furniture around in here. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. It's been a dude, both of us have just been through the fucking ringer over the last couple of weeks.
It's been a whirlwind over the last month even.
Yeah.
Because I think it's been a month since you and I have sat in here.
Yeah, because it's September 11th. We were, dude, by the way, if you want to fly somewhere for cheap, September 11th. That's when to go.
I was wondering how I got to Chicago for $163.
Yeah.
I guess it was the day.
Yeah. But we're we did FabTech, and then we've been so fucking inundated at work, and lost a couple of key team members, and it was just a fucking bad time, bad timing on everything. All the schedules were fucked up. People, Nick found some other opportunities. Hunter decided he wanted to go pursue something else. And so it's doing what we can with what we got. We've just been getting kicked in the dick a lot lately. So,
I think it's important that you, not only that you share that information, but what is important is that is the life of business, right? There's no one that has more exposure to this information than you.
Right.
Okay. And for you guys to it's still going to happen. Yeah. The bullshit.
Yeah, I hope people don't fucking think that, all the stuff we talk about is going to make this a fucking cakewalk. And it's like, no, dude, it's fucking hard.
It's hard.
It's going to be fucking hard. And, I saw there was a post from Andy Frisella not that long ago. It's from one of his podcasts that I don't listen to anymore. But, entrepreneurs, dude, we're in it for the 10%. We get that 10% of our life is the time where we get to relish in what we did, and we get a win, and then we're back to the grindstone. And once you get back to the grindstone, you're gonna get kicked in the fucking mouth. And this shit's hard, dude. It's not for the faint of heart. You gotta have a set of you gotta have a pair on you. To weather these storms, and especially in these trades. This isn't fucking manufacturing. This isn't retail. These are difficult industries with a lot of unforeseens. A lot of different things we got to take into effect. And I know business is business, but fuck, man, when it comes to operations, the trades, it's a weird place to try and do right.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, you ain't going to do it right.
It's just about doing it better.
Yeah. Just do it better than the last one.
Right.
Yeah.
The building I'm in, the fire sprinkler guys were here today flushing the system and doing whatever the fuck they do. And one of the young guys there, because I have a business logo on the door, started inquiring. And then when he peeked in, he saw, all of this set up. And he's like, oh, man, he said, everything I've been trying to find, he said, I've really been studying leadership and business. And I'm kind of wanting to go out on my own and do this type of thing. And I said, let me give you a crash course of when I work with startups. I said, there's 3 things that you need: a business plan, a financial plan, and a market plan. The business plan is telling me a story of how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, who you're going to do it for, and where. The financial plan is going to be based on projections, but how much money do you want to make? How much money do you need to make? What do you think costs are going to be? And then a market plan is writing a plan of, okay, who needs to know you exist and what's your plan to get in front of them? I said, just write stories. And that conversation evolved in a little bit of, learning sales, which is basically communication, and learning hiring, which is leadership. And I just barraged him for probably 3 or 4 minutes straight of information.
He's probably walking in and going, nope, don't want to own a business anymore.
And he kind of rubs his face and he goes, man, it's hard, isn't it? I said, yep. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. And he's, this young kid probably in his 20s, to somebody that's had a business for 30 years, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, you get a little bit better at it, but even people that are great in business, they're great because they've been able to delegate a lot of stuff to other people, right? And that's a huge part of owning a business, is knowing who to delegate to, when to delegate. And what I've come to realize, especially in my position, is that we have steel detailers, we have insurance agents, we have all these other people. Like I'm doing a safety submittal for a car dealership here. and it's like a third party safety outfit, and they want all of it. They want a fucking heat illness prevention plan. They want a emergency action plan. They want a working from heights plan. Dude, we don't have any of this shit. We have people certified on, all the things they need to be certified on. And I'm looking at this list going, dude, I'm a fucking welder. That's where I started off at. This is what and now I'm a business owner. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have safety personnel. We don't have a safety coordinator. We don't have anything like that. So I'm like looking at all this stuff and I'm like, dude, you know what? We're going through AmeriSafe for our workman's comp. And AmeriSafe comes out like probably once a quarter, and they walk sites that we have active, and then they come by and check out the shop. And this dude's from like Alaska, and they fly him all over the country. And he comes in, and he's kind of like a safety coordinator. And I was like, dude, I bet you that guy, because he'll come out and like if we're over at that tilt up and we're working off of scissor lifts. So he's like, hey, I saw you guys working off scissor lifts. Here's an action plan for working at heights and working off of mechanical platforms. Just good information for you guys to go through there. I was like, dude, I bet you he has them for emergency plans and for heat access. Boom, delegated to my insurance agent. I didn't have to do shit. I mean, I read through them to make sure that they're quality, but being able to look at something like that and go, I don't have time to fucking make this thing. Who might have access to something like that? Dude, like even our safety manual for the business, we got that from another contractor. Because they were like, oh, dude, you're going to need this down the line. We threw our letterhead on it. And he's like, yeah, dude, just put your name in place of our name. And he's like, just read through it. So I read through the whole fucking 300 pages of the goddamn thing. But I'm not wasting time doing shit I'm not supposed to be doing.
Well, every time someone has a business or starts a business, they just have this thought process or determination, I don't know which, that they have to invent their wheel. Stop.
Yeah. Dude, do what you're good at.
Yes. And do what you enjoy doing. And let's figure out how to delegate this. Let's create systems.
And just understand that all of these people you have in your corner, understand the full potential of what comes with the money you pay them. Like you pay, like our steel detailers, they're fucking expensive, but they're great at what they do. And dude, I can put them on Zoom calls with the engineer and the architect, and I just sit in the background and let them duke out fucking small connection details and shit like that. I don't have to do a goddamn thing because that's their shit.
Right.
And so for me to jump in the middle of it and stir up the pot and be like, well, I think we should do it like this. Fuck that. Like, let them do their shit first and then I'll figure it out from there. Like utilizing all of the people you have in your corner is fucking huge. I didn't pay any extra money for that. It comes with the price we pay.
When I have the conversation of people, the automation delegation, elimination conversation, the first thing I tell people is you have to literally write out. You have to identify clearly what you and only you can do in this business, in your business. And then you work to automate, delegate, or eliminate the rest of it. And now I understand that small business, you wear multiple hats. But here's what I've learned recently, and being at the conference kind of helped me discover this. Because everybody says that. I just said it. Oh, small business, you got to wear multiple hats. And sometimes you're the boss, and sometimes you're the employee, and sometimes you're this, and sometimes that. And what I've discovered is actually most business owners don't wear multiple hats. They wear one hat. And across the face of the hat, it says reactive.
Yeah, it's a big ass hat.
It's a big ass hat. And it just says reactive. And that's the fucking hat that they wear all the time. Because they don't have systems. They're not delegating. They're not saying no to things. So they just react. Not respond. React. Yeah. And that's the hat that most business owners wear. When you're able to take that off for most of your day and you are wearing the appropriate hats, you become productive. But again, who do you need to delegate this to? And looking at the kind of the 3-tier delegation, the way that I share and the way that I teach is write 3 tiers out in your company. $0 to $25 an hour, $25 to $50 an hour, and 50 plus. As a business owner, you should be working as diligently as possible to get out of the first tier.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can pay a subscription, you can pay someone hourly. I don't give a shit who it or what it is. If it's and fill in your own number, whatever's fucking relevant to your company. But if I can find someone to do that for $25 an hour or less, I'm fucking delegating it. I'm paying it. That because operationally, you are going to be working in that $25 to $50 an hour as an early business owner, but you're generating revenue. Systemize as much as you can in the 0 to 25. Also, positionally, it's going to be 1, maybe 2. You're going to be able to outsource stuff like bookkeeping.
Right.
That's a tier 1 product.
But you're going to do the amount of fucking tradespeople that I know that handle their own books.
Yep.
And I'm like, why are you doing that to yourself? You're up till midnight reconciling. Like, dude, you can get a fucking bookkeeper for $25 an hour and they'll have it done in an hour and a half.
And you stop stealing from your family.
Yeah.
Because they're up and you're now obligated to fill out, your reconciling or your bookkeeping. Don't fucking do that. I did that. I made a mistake. I did that 1 year, and that was the last year.
I never even fucking attempted it. I was like, nope, I'm going to fuck this up right away.
And, so you're working in that $20 to $50 an hour bracket. That's where you're going to hire. That's where you're going to, add or multiply into your team. You're going to build positions. That's a really heavy delegating bracket because you need to be in the 50 plus. And that's where you're moving the needle. That's where you're selling jobs. That's where you're growing the company. That's where you're focusing on who do we need to hire next? What type of work do we need to do? What's the market awareness look like? That 50 plus an hour, you need to spend as much time as you can there and eventually get even above that. But for simple understanding and operations, that's how I look at delegation in the operations of a company.
Yeah. Yeah. And that 0 to 25, dude, like even delegating somebody to go pick up shit from Home Depot or somebody to go pick up powder coat or somebody to fucking do a dump run. Like, dude, we've got this kid that he's like 22 years old. We pay him $20 an hour. Honestly, if it slows down, he goes down to part-time. He fucking loves it, but he's just one of those guys that he's not the biggest and strongest and most capable as far as trades are concerned, but he likes being outside. So it's like, hey, go back up to this trailer. And
I would assume that he likes being a part of something.
He does, yeah. Yeah.
And something that we often do is a major mistake is we want everyone to perform the way that we do. We expect to fill up a bus of people and we expect everyone to behave as if they're the driver.
Yeah. Good fucking luck. They'd all own their own businesses.
That's right.
They'll all be just as dumb as you and start their own business.
Saying that, something that I truly believe in is I'm not a fan of people starting businesses. I think there's a lot of opportunities right now for people to acquire businesses.
Yeah.
And instead of just starting.
Dude, because that whole startup thing, like when Matt and I started, dude, like just chipping away at getting some of the dumb little equipment, and like you never had what you fucking needed, and I think acquiring, because dude, there's a lot of people out there that they were like, oh yeah, I want to start a business. And then sure as shit, 3 to 6 months later, they're like, fuck this, this is not for me. And dude, you can come up huge on that, and like, just even small hand tools like getting squares and levels and angle finders and all that shit, like that stuff adds up, dude. And if you're starting out on a business and you need $1,500 worth of hand tools plus a fucking $2,000 welder, and you'd have to have like 10 to 15 grand to just even scratch the surface of getting started. And if somebody tried and failed and they're getting rid of it, that is a great place to fucking start.
Yeah, it's a good deal to buy. So I don't encourage everyone to just start a business from scratch.
I encourage most people to not start a business. Like I like business ownership and I like owning a business and I like what we do, but knowing what I know now and looking at some of these people that have aspirations to go start a business, I'm like, dude, you ain't got it.
Yeah, don't do it.
You're a great number 2. You ain't a number 1. You don't have the fucking capacity for it. And it's not like not talking shit on the person, but you have to carry a certain mindset to be a business owner, and being reactive is not a fucking good trait to have to that, and especially if you don't have a partner that you can trust where, we've seen, like with Matt and I, two of us, we have different roles in the whole thing. And so it's like that alleviates certain responsibilities, but his balls are on the chopping block just like mine are.
Right.
Giving up's not an option.
That kid I was talking to earlier today, I told him, I said, 95% of businesses fail in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make it to the 5%,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have shit till you get through year 5 because it takes about 5 years to gain momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I said, even then, you're not guaranteed to win, but you should have some systems. You should have momentum. You've probably got 1 or 2 people, depending on how you're growing or if you know how to grow or scale a business. But you survive year 1, you bust your ass to get to year 5, and you just hope that now you realize that you're smart enough to know how dumb you are.
Mm-hmm. That's a really humbling thing. and it's so fucking necessary. Just understanding how fucking dumb you are. I do that shit all the time, dude. I'm like, like I botched a bid, and we're getting our fucking asses handed to us right now. And I'm like, dude, I'm such a fucking idiot, I'm like, hindsight, now that we're in the mix of it, it's easy to see where I fucked up along the way with the whole thing. And it's doing me no good now, except for when I go to bid the next one. But,
right.
Dude, that's, taking those licks is fucking necessary. I wish people appreciated the suffering of business ownership the way they should. It's like, dude, this is a learning process. Every day we show up, we learn something new, and we've expanded rapidly. And then this year is going to be our first rough year. Mm-hmm. I think we won't even do what we did last year. We had a really bad winter, and then we're bottlenecked with everything right now.
But you guys were on a fast path. You doubled
revenue every year
for 4 years.
It's
that roller coaster's got to come back down a little bit. That's just natural.
Yeah. Well, and that just our profit margins aren't going to be that great compared to what they were last year, but it's eye opening. It's really good. I'm glad that it's happened because it's making us far more aware of our positioning in the market. It's making us much more aware of our finances, making us, we're much more aware of where the holes are at in the bucket, and where you hemorrhage. And so I'm a quarter of the way through Profit First right now.
So that's a book by Mike Michalowicz. Mm-hmm. It's it's a really good financial book that I recommend.
Mm-hmm. So, you've been talking about it for years and I've never picked it up. And it wasn't until we got into a bit of a financial pinch from the fucked up winter that I'm like, okay, I have to do something. Mm-hmm. And that seems like a great, and then I have my mentor, Jeremy, that I'll be having a conversation with either this week or next week. But, dude, he's just willing to give it all away for free. He's like, dude, whatever you fucking need. He loves small business, and he's really good at running businesses. And
he's a wizard when it comes to the money side. He's a fucking wizard.
He has his shit down. Yeah. So it's like, all right, well, that's the fucker I'm going to talk to.
Yep.
And dude, I've been talking about it for years, and then I'm like, well, we're doing fine.
So this is natural. We only work to grow or change when we experience pain. Mm-hmm. And it's been a painful year.
Yeah.
And we're just into the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And, pushing through the fourth quarter is going to take a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But when we experience pain, we become a little bit more open and humble to learning something new and better. Mm-hmm. And
you think you got it all figured out until shit goes lean. And then you're like, whoa.
But also understanding that with growing or scaling a business, the things that you did to get to $1 million doesn't take you to $5 million. The systems don't. The people don't. Not saying that you're going to have 100% turnover from 1 million to 5 million, but it is going to require growth of the people that do stay. Mm-hmm. And you're going to onboard, and the scope of work or the market is going to adjust. There's a lot of things that you're going to experience, a tremendous amount of growing pains. But you have to recognize that the only way that you can get there is to evolve. Mm-hmm. And again, sometimes that comes through pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least the recognition of evolution, comes from pain.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. When we were in FabTech, one of the neatest things for me is I got to shake hands with about a half a dozen of my clients.
Yeah.
And what a great group of people.
Dude, we had such a blast.
Here's one of the things that I loved about just my observation is, we had people from Canada, multiple different states across the U.S. We all just kind of, met at FabTech, and immediately everybody gets along.
Oh, yeah, it was fucking instant. Yeah.
And everybody's talking
Well, I mean,
shit.
of course they're going to
joking.
get along with you and I, but
Obviously.
yeah, all of them got along together with each other too. And it's like when people are like-minded like that, not in the sense that we do everything the same, but we all understand that we're all trying,
Mhm.
right? But the conversations were so fucking good. And like hanging out with Ryan and Mr. Bentley and the duo out of Montana, you know, like a lot of really good questions arose and everybody had different answers for them. You know, like even just us talking about markup on materials. I was like, what the fuck? Like somebody's like, yeah, I got a 40% markup. And I'm like, how the fuck do you get away with that? Because I haven't been able to. But, you know, when you start looking at scaling and, you know, where people have grown the most and what was able to get them to grow. And talking with that old boy from the Welding Business Owners podcast.
Kevin.
Kevin, yeah.
He's going to come on our show.
Oh, is he? Okay, perfect. I love sitting down that we went and sat through that thing with Arc Junkies and him and listening to that whole crew talk. You know, the conversations were genuine and nobody was like trying to withhold information of like, this is my trade secret. Everybody was just like pretty much an open book about what they were doing.
So here's the neat thing about that small kind of, I don't know, it wasn't a secret event, but you had the host from the CWB podcast, and he does a lot more than podcasts. He's involved in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had Arc Junkies, which is Justin Becker, I think. Then you had Welding Business Owner Podcast, which is Kevin. So those three were the platform for the podcast. And then in the audience was me, you, and then Bo with Weld.com, and then a few other people. But it was really neat. I know for me, being a fellow podcaster and just kind of being in that room and watching someone else do what we do was really cool for me. It was really fun.
Yeah. And then you're sitting in there with a fucking shirt that says it's not a welding podcast.
That shirt did exactly what I wanted it to do.
It was a buzz.
Yeah, it was. But my point to that was the support, right? Everybody was in there supporting each other. And I had a brief conversation just through texting with Kevin the other day, inviting him onto the show. And we're going to talk a lot about this. I don't know a lot, but he's launching his Fabricator Olympics. I think next week.
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Next week or two.
Did you see that he posted something about the gear that they're giving away?
It's a lot.
Dude, he's got a lot of shit on deck for people to win. I hope he gets his first year under his belt and then it fucking blows up. Like people see what it actually looks like to do it. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to sign up for it because he's keeping the competition hush-hush. So it's like, I think once this first one breaks out, I got a feeling the next year is going to be a lot bigger.
So when he comes on, it will be after the Fabricator Olympics. So he's going to get to talk all about that and his experience and why he's doing it and stuff. But I had such a fun time with what you said, the conversations. And you know, we went to that AWS meet and greet, you know, and Kevin and I ended up closing the bar. Yeah. We sat there and drank and talked, and man, it was awesome. Like I made a friend, and it was so much fun. And then for me, because you left with
all the Canadians.
My crew, well, you know, like the Tradesman Experience crew, like you guys went out and you've made friends. Yeah. You know, and
dude, Brian and I talk like once a week. I had a conversation with Mr. Bentley yesterday. He called because he was bidding on some structural stuff and he wanted to run some stuff by me, talk about constructability and shit. And he sent me the plan set over and I sat on the phone and went through all the stuff with him. And it's fucking great to have those resources, you know, and it all came from just like-minded people sitting around. Dude, how long did we sit at that fucking outdoor table?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, multiple nights. Yeah. But the first night we were out there, I'm not exaggerating, 6 hours.
That was before we went to the AWS thing.
We ate 2 meals there.
Yeah, that's right. we got so much free shit too
because we were day maker and the motherfucker out of whatever Roberto or I can't remember his name.
Yeah. But they had like a misfire on some orders, and he's like, "I know where to take them." Just took them straight.
They brought us shit the whole time we were out there for free. They got those giant fucking hey, somebody mispoured these. They're bringing beer.
Right. We racked up like $1,000 bill, didn't we? Yeah. Shout out to our Canadian brethren for picking up the tab on that one.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Very thankful. All of my crew, all of the Tradesman Experience crew, very great hospitality, very giving people. Yeah, and I'm very thankful for them.
It was cool because, like, you and I would do that Daymaker shit all the time, right? Yep. I get off on it. I fucking love doing it. But dude, like, they were all doing the same thing. They were chopping up Rubio, Roberto, I can't remember what the server's name was. Yeah, but just chopping it up with the guy and cracking jokes and making their day a little easier. And so it's cool to see that. I don't know if that was from us and like the Daymaker shit, or if the people that are attracted to this are just like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I want to believe that they're that way. They're just genuine people, and you got to meet the guys from Northern Illinois, Calvin and Ryan. They came down that last day.
Yep.
It was just a great trip overall. I want to share my perspective of the expo itself. I had no fucking idea about automation technology. I mean, I use the word automation, but in a sense of work application, I'm from another fuking planet. Yeah. When I was in that expo.
How much, like, if you had to put a rough estimate on how much money in just in equipment was in that place?
Hundreds of millions.
I'd say like 250 million.
Yes, hundreds of millions. Yeah. Bananas.
It's insane what the capabilities are now. Like, and to think I've never been to FabTech before to see like what, because a lot of this shit would be useful. Now, price tags, that's a different story. Like, what do you want? What can you afford?
I do want to make something very clear. I went to FabTech, and I still have no desire to be a welder. I just want to.
It's weird because it's a welding podcast.
I just want to put that out there. I still have no desire.
You don't have to. We automated it.
It's guys like me they're trying to replace.
You can just push the button.
That exposure to that technology and that automation. I mean, I spent basically 3 full days at that show, and just jaw-dropping, absolute jaw-dropping capabilities and technology, and I mean, laser cutting tables that can cut 8-inch steel, and then the Beam Master that we were looking at. What that does and what that looks like.
Well, and it's crazy how small the package they are now. Like, it's a robotic arm that you just feed shit into, and all you have to do is plug in DXF files. Like, you're not programming anymore. You can plug in a DXF and and we get those from our steel detailers anyway. And I was asking the guy, I'm like, well, how do you program it to do everything you need? He was like, just put it on a flash drive. If you have a DXF, put it on a flash drive, plug it in, send the beam in, and I'm like, what the fuck is this wizardry? So
simple.
Yeah.
Making it simple. So as we were walking around, and this is the conversation I wanted to have tonight, was how much of this is replacing the lack of workforce, and how much of this are we able to integrate with the workforce?
Yeah. And I think it's a split down the middle right now. I think that the automation is definitely, it's making things more precise. So like, if you look at some of these Beam Masters that all they do is the cutting, right? So you feed the beam in, cuts all your holes, does your bevels, and then it scribes where all of your plates need to go. I'm not worried about people fucking burning an inch and forgetting about it anymore, right? Now we know exactly where everything has to go. It's got a line on either side of where you're supposed to drop that plate in. Boom, you're good to go.
So there's a machine that will scribe the layout for you.
Yes,
and then your guy can weld it.
Yeah, but there's also some of them that will do all of it, where this robotic arm can cut, scribe, set plates, and weld all the plates out. Dude, that can run 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, have one guy
Right.
just poking around the shop doing whatever on a night shift. You know, there's some fucking stoner somewhere that would love that job. You know, push a button every once in a while.
Right.
But yeah, it's insane what the capabilities are. And when I look at like the old Lincoln Cobra machines, there's a guy up in Reno that had one of them. And it's a fucking, it had to be set up outside. They had to put an enclosure around it. Like it's a big fucking machine. And if you look at the stuff that we were looking at FabTech, and it still has the capability of taking on like large commercial sized beams, processing them and spitting them out, and you're only taking up like 6 square feet. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, that Beammaster was not very big.
No, it
you know,
wasn't.
for what it was doing, because you know you feed a beam into it, but it was not very big.
Yeah, I mean your conveyor system is going to take up some space, but whatever, you know.
Yeah. What were your thoughts? You spent some time in the second in the smaller Lincoln booth with, and I can't remember that cat's name.
I can't remember it either. Yeah.
Really neat guy.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the technology for if you're looking at production, deposition is everything, right? You want to pump as much material cleanly into the weld as you can, make less passes, do more work. They had, I think I was fucking around with some of it was a pulse. Fuck, I don't even think it was a hardwire. I think it was something structurally certified. But I mean, I was welding on a 3/8 plate and it was a single pass. I didn't weave at all. I just literally held the right torch angle and just blasted that thing in there. And it was all, you know, if you're a skilled welder with like dual shield, you can single pass 3/8. It's technically not legal, you know, but if you know what you're doing, you can get away with some shit. But this thing, dude, you didn't even have to try. It just hogged in there. And I'm like, that's going to take away some manufacturing jobs, you know, and good. Nobody wants those fucking jobs.
Right.
Nobody wants to go in there and burn the same fucking part out. You know, they might do it for a year, but nobody really wants those fucking jobs. So, I mean, I think when we look at replacement, we're replacing the less attractive aspects of the industry. Good. So that way, if you're going to come into the industry, you're doing the things you want to do, you know, and that's going to change up, you know, pay scales and stuff like that. And you're going to have to get good faster at a lot of these skills, but what a great motivator, you know. But like you said, we have a reduction in the market as far as people willing to do the fucking job and do it at a pace that's profitable. And so if you can automate a lot of this stuff, you know, instead of having a shop of 4 to 6 people, you drop it down to 2 people, but everything's automated. They're running QC, they're, you know, plugging stuff in and getting all this stuff where it's got to go. For one, it's a lot less taxing on the body. They're not sitting there sucking in the fumes all the time. Is there always going to be a market for custom shit? Of course. That you can't automate custom stuff out of the world. That's just not how it works.
That was one thing that I did notice, and I want to talk about the cobots a little bit, but regardless of the size of the machine, it was about repetitive movement. You know, probably the most skilled machine was the Beammaster as far as diversity.
Right.
Now they had full automation line set up where it pulled it off the rack, it fed it to the conveyor, you know, and then it would spit it out at the other end, completely done.
But that's for like car manufacturers and shit like that.
A lot of big manufacturing plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, big manufacturing plants. So I do think some of those repetitive jobs, there's definitely a focus on automation being a solution. And it's, you know, so I've worked in factories and I understand the job. I understand it is repetitive, and there are certain people that do want that type of work because it is repetitive. It's in a controlled environment. There's a lot of things that's benefits to them. But even at that, paying someone $17 an hour, you know, $15 an hour to work second shift. I mean, so when I worked in the factory at night, I made $8.42 an hour.
Jesus.
So the pay structure is not there.
No, dude, I think that's funny because my first job when I was like in high school, I got $5.25 an hour.
Yeah. So, you know, so yes, I do think there's some people there, but then you look at the price, right, that they're getting paid to do the work. So that's not very attractive to a lot of people. And okay, so we're not attracting more people. Well, we can either increase their wages or we invest in a machine.
Automation, yeah.
In automation. And there's definitely a huge maybe there was a push already. Again, I realized how ignorant I was to automation when I got there. But there's an extreme push for replacing those positions.
Yeah. And if you look at the pool of entry level for what we do now, I mean, dude, even just laborer work and you've said it multiple times before, the welding industry is sexy, right? It's appealing. It's got aesthetic to it. There's a lot of bragging rights that go along with it.
Your guys' tools are so fucking cool.
Oh, yeah. We've got some of the coolest shit.
It's neat.
But that's the downside of it, I see, is that it's going to be a lot more difficult to be entry level in this industry. And so it's going to take really high performers to get into those custom mold markets. Which is kind of a good thing, though. I mean, we need competition within it. And, when I was coming up in the industry, in the pipeline game, there was somebody standing right behind you, knocking down the fucking door, trying to get their foot in. So you were highly fucking motivated to do a good job and strive for more, because otherwise you're going to get passed up in a heartbeat. We don't have that anymore. You can be a half-ass slapdick and come in and fucking hold on to a job for 4 or 5 years. And that's scary to me. It takes the craft out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's not it's a lack of options. Right?
Yes.
These people are getting brought in and maintaining these positions because it's not a choice; it's a lack of options.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're paying top dollar for subpar work,
right? This automation thing is going to impact that game.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to impact that game. The first time I heard the word cobot was in a conversation with Garrett a couple of years ago when we started coaching. And I don't know, again, how new they are or were. What were there, 200 cobot arms, 300 cobot arms?
Dude, they're so fucking affordable now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested. What are your thoughts on the cobots as far as application, ROI? What do one of those look like?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're doing like one-offs, like the cobots are great for like getting pieces held into place or something to tack something for you. I know that you can run production parts on them. You set up a jig one time and then you got to plop the pieces in there, but then it'll weld it up for you and stuff. So, and you have to train it to do what it's going to do. But I think for like small batch production, like you were talking about, Garrett, fucking huge come up. Mm-hmm. If you're running with less people in your shop, and it would take a certain kind of cobot, like if you're doing ornamental iron, because you're dealing with pieces that are 20 feet long, you're not dealing with small in your hands parts. But I could see there's got to be a use for them along the way, or some application for them. But I think you're going to see a lot of like you said, small batch stuff is going to.
Do you think cobots are like the new plasma table?
Yeah,
what was 10 years ago, plasma tables, 20 years ago, I remember we got one in the HVAC school when I was in there. And it was like a big deal because no one around.
And then now everybody has them. But there's a pendulum shift with all of that too. It's that, when the plasma tables first started coming out and you could program all your shit to get cut, it was a big thing to have one. If you didn't have, like, I'd say maybe 5 years ago, if you didn't have one in your own shop, you were fucking losing at the game, right? Now, everybody's fucking got them, and I can get shit cut for so fucking cheap that there is no need for me to go out, buy the fucking machine, buy all the consumables, find somebody to run the fucking thing, because I'm not going to make any money other than building shit for myself, and I can't keep that thing busy enough to leave it running all the time. So there are people that are far more efficient at it and doing far more volume to where they can get us shit for cheaper. It doesn't make any sense for me to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is a point where the technology becomes so readily available that it's hard to even compete with providing. Like, if you're not keeping the machine busy, you're fucking losing money on it, right? Mm-hmm. So the cobots, I see that as being one of those things that it's assisting your people the entire time. So I think that's going to withhold, or that's going to go against what I'm saying right now but there might come a day when those cobots are fucking obsolete as well, you know? So it's trying to project into the future of what the needs of the market are going to be, what the capabilities of the people are going to be. And are we just hiring a bunch of fucking nerds to program shit all day? Are we all essentially going to turn into machine shops, you know? And you have field installation crews. But I mean, they're 3D printing houses with fucking concrete right now, you know, which luckily for us in the custom home market, nobody wants that shit sitting up at Clear Creek, you know?
No. I got to experience Clear Creek yesterday. I was a Battleborn Welding employee.
Yeah. You've been up there before, though, right?
Not Clear Creek.
Oh, you haven't been up there yet?
No. I've been to Glenbrook with another client.
Okay.
And I've been different parts, but
that place is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, nuts is a really good, that's the best description.
Right.
What is going on up there, construction, building, and the amount of money that's coming through that place, it's incredible.
So I talked to the guy that runs the security at the gate, and I was like, you know, like, because we did a bunch, the Martis camp is a lot like Clear Creek, and I did some work up there at Martis camp, and I was talking to the guy, and I was like, you know, we were up there building houses, and the place was a fucking ghost town. Because it's just a $10 million vacation home, right? People are up there 1 or 2 weeks out of the year. And I was talking to him. I'm like, dude, how many people live up here full time? Because there's only like 50 houses done, 50 if that. Yeah. You know, but there's another 50 under construction right now. I was like, how many people live up here full time? He's like, well, last year we had 26. This year we have 47. And I was like, that's nuts because of what I saw at
Martis
camp. And he's like, yeah, COVID changed everything. People can work remotely now. So we're seeing a lot younger people coming in that, you know, we got some of these tech geniuses that are making fucking $10 million a year. So of course they can afford a vacation home up at Tahoe like that. But yeah, that whole, you know, there's a full golf course. That's probably one of the most difficult golf courses in the area to play. Good luck getting in, you know. So I'm like trying to schmooze up to the fucking the owners of these houses that we're building, trying to squeeze around in, you know. But yeah, it's been interesting to see what that gap between like people like us is and people like them are. You know, a lot of them are really nice, down to earth people.
Yeah.
If you ask the general contractors, they'll tell you something different. But as far as us just being the guys doing the work, they've been nothing but respectful to us.
My experience in working with people of all up and down the money scale is rich people are assholes and wealthy people are saints.
Yeah.
And I say rich people that think they're rich.
Yeah. People that live outside of their means.
Yeah. People that fucking think they're rich. Like they act like that you owe them everything. But wealthy people, man, I've had nothing but great experiences in working with wealthy people. They just have a different mindset.
Yeah. And they'll give you all the information you want. Be like, hey man, what are you investing in right now? Oh, I'm working on this. I got, you know, a little insider information here. Like, 20 grand, dump it in there.
Yeah, I'll give you all my stuff. Yeah. But, you know, the field crews, I think, is going to be one area that continues to grow, especially around the custom market. And then, you know, another type of industry that's going to thrive is service repair industry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, keeping those machines running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it doesn't, to me, once it's installed, that bot is not coming back to fix it. I don't care if it's what it is.
Right.
An AC unit or a fucking 3D modeled house. I mean, somebody has to come back and make repairs. You know, that bot's not going to show up.
Right.
When I was walking around FabTech and talking to all of these people, because a lot of people are pushing for automation replacement, you know, getting rid of the human factor. And my mind was going, is there a chance for this automation integration and being able to complement the workforce and complement the people? And is there an attraction, right? So here's one of the thoughts that I had. Is this a good way to get gamers into the trades?
Yeah, right. Yeah, programming and stuff like that. Or I've seen they do remote. Aaron Witt had something on his other. God damn it. He does that. All the heavy equipment. We've had him on the podcast. I forget what the name of his podcast is now, but
Build Wit.
Oh, is that what it is?
Or Dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
But Aaron
welcome.
Witt, at least we give the guy his due. But he did a little expose on basically there was people sitting in an air-conditioned room running controls, and it was they were operating machinery out in the field, but they're sitting in an air-conditioned room. And if that ain't like playing a fucking video game, I don't know what is,
Man.
you know? But along the lines that you're talking about as far as, you know, replacement versus integration, one thing that we all saw and talked about as far as integration is these fucking laser scanners. Dude.
So I might be wrong. I did not see one there.
I thought they had them over. I thought I saw it over in the robotics.
I didn't see one, but
Okay.
it came up in conversation.
Mhm.
And this,
Yeah.
I am equally as excited about this thing.
Right. So, I mean, you could show up to, let's say you're doing a custom home. You show up and their stem walls are already poured. You didn't have a chance to go check everything. So you got to go out and pull all your field measurements, right? You set this thing up on a tripod, turn it on, it runs for about 3 minutes, and it does a full 3D laser scan of the entire region. It'll show you where all your anchor bolts are at, your top of concrete elevations, your fuck, you name it. Any part of that job site that is there will show up on it. And then there was that one old boy.
On Instagram?
The guy that can give you all the prints, all the 3D renderings.
His Instagram is Lex Welds. His name is Alex. I've reached out to him and invited him onto the podcast because he does a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that scanning is accurate within a 16th of an inch.
Yeah. Dude, you know how fucking huge that is? I mean, if you send people out to go pull field measurements before you fabricate steel, you're looking at, if it's a decent sized home, you're looking at a day for a qualified individual plus somebody to hold the dumb end of a tape. And
you have to shoot elevation
Yeah,
and you have to pull tape.
yeah, you got to do all that shit. So if you got to pay 2 people to go out and fucking do all this, plus let's find out how much of it they actually fuck up, you know? But instead of just and let's say you fat finger a number when you send it over to your detailers. Now, instead of that, let's just get a fucking 3D rendering with prints and send it straight over to the detailers and they can cross-reference everything, make minor adjustments before you go into production.
What was really interesting is when that got brought up in conversation, we got hit from multiple different people that either know about it or have some level of exposure to it. And when I left, that to me, that was the number one thing.
Yeah.
Like this is the best investment.
Mm-hmm.
The ROI on that is 3 rework jobs.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Straight up.
And, you know, having the capability to, the way I looked at it, if you watched Iron Man, it looks like Jarvis. I just assumed it's like Jarvis scanning the room,
Right.
you know, and it creates this 3D rendering. For you just to be able to do that and then come back and, you know, import, export, whatever file that is onto your computer and have that rendering into whatever file that you can immediately turn into a full CAD drawing.
Mm-hmm. That's going to put a big dent in the surveyor industry, though. You know, like that could end up replacing surveyors.
Mm. Yeah, I'm interested to learn more about the full capabilities of that machine because, again, the integration process there, you're creating efficiency. You're not replacing anyone. The guy or gal that you've got holding the dumb end of the tape is meant to be doing something else anyway.
Right.
So you're not replacing that person, but you are replacing the human factor of error. You know, the human error. I was so fascinated with that machine. And I don't know, again, to the custom market, what a great tool to have to help you expedite.
Yeah, all that's doing is replacing bullshit.
Oh, man.
That's not replacing people.
So cool.
Because we got other shit they could be doing, you know? Like, do you know how much of a time suck it is to send somebody out to go field measure shit?
Yeah. And, you know, and right now it's Matt.
Yeah.
So you got a guy who's not involved in operations for an entire day because he's pulling field measurements. And then usually he takes somebody with him. Right? So the operational value of that 8 hours is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that alone would probably, you know, a week of that would probably pay for that scanner.
Oh yeah, straight up.
So,
Yeah. Well, like you said, the rework aspect of it, you know, because there's a lot of shit that we don't catch until, you know, we get out on site. You know, it's kind of hard to that with all the weird angles that we work with and all the, you know, the different elevations that we have with these custom homes, because there's a lot of like retaining walls. These places actually have basements, which is fucking unheard of around here. But because it takes a fucking 10-foot retaining wall that is not cheap to build, you know. So with all of the variables that are in there, it's really easy to fuck that up. And it's like we just scan the whole thing. We know exactly where it's at.
The job that I was with Matt and Sam on yesterday, we were demoing. We were taking banisters out, handrails and shit. And it was like 6 or 7 flights of stairs.
this old rundown apartment that got built probably back in the 70s. It's poverty with a view. That place is so clapped out.
Are they churching it up to make it expensive?
I think so. Yeah, sure. They come in and they charge the fuck out of it, and then they just basically repaint stuff, change some fucking
interesting,
you know, interior decorations, and then double the fucking cost of the rental. You know.
You can see Lake Tahoe from the upper floors.
Yeah. If you go all the way up to where the pool's at, you can see all the way. You can see all the way across the lake.
And I was asking Matt just about, hey, what's the plan? You know, pulling measurements, and he said, well, originally we were going to pull one of the handrails down in one piece and then just fab it. No 2 stairwells are the same. So they got to pull measurements. So that's what, back to that scanner, you set that thing up on every floor and you shoot it individually and you have all of that. Instead, they're going out there with whatever, laser angle finders, tape measures, and doing that all by hand, which is how we do it. Right? So everybody does it right now.
But we haven't had a choice up until now.
So, you know, just expediting that entire process of, you know, spending a few minutes on, I'm assuming a few minutes on each level and shooting. And it's, again, accurate within a 1/16 of an inch. Yeah. Which is even to Matt's standard. So.
Yeah, just barely.
But I was very fascinated with that technology. And, you know, again, just having the ability to integrate some of that. I know that people are struggling with, again, the workforce and attracting people and hiring people. And, you know, you guys are going on this interview campaign over the next week of, you know, of continuing to rebuild your team. I have conversations all the time. I had one today with the fire sprinkling guys. And I tell them what I tell everybody. It's like, look, your best candidate is someone that loves their job and hates their boss. But the question is, how do you get in front of them? Right? How do they know you exist? How can you create that conversation? What is it that they're looking for?
So we got on Indeed. I honestly thought, I'm like, dude, this is going to be a fucking wash. They're, you know, this is going to be bullshit. I was like, but we have to do something. We can't just fucking wait for anybody to walk through the door, and all of our other tactics that were working before weren't working. But the first guy we interviewed on Monday, so I put the thing up on a Thursday, we've gotten like 25 applicants already. Interviewed the first guy on Monday, and dude's got a bunch of experience, great fucking guy, got a good head on his shoulders, hates his fucking boss. So they are out there, you know. Absolutely. He's like, dude, I'm ready to go. Like, need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And I think that that kind of broadband marketing of hiring is important. I know, I think that, you know, every applicant you get, you have to pay for. You have to pay Indeed. They charge you for
it. $38. Well, that's if you accept the applicant. Because there was some shit, because we had put up there that we're willing to relocate people and put a relocation fee in there. And so we had people from Oklahoma, Ohio, North Carolina, Texas. We had people, and then we were starting to get applicants from like Abu Dhabi and fucking the United Emirates and like all these. And I'm like, no, we ain't doing that one. Like that's sorry, bud. But
that's some weird algorithm just throwing applications.
But there's like, because there's some we put our experience requirement kind of low. I think we put it at 1 or 2 years. And so we had a lot of guys that were applying they said they had 1 year experience, and then you go through their resume and they're like, oh, high school shit. And I'm like, no, that's not what we meant. Little fucker.
No. Just no.
So but you can reject them. You don't have to take each applicant. So, I mean, basically we're going to run it for this week. We have all in all, I think we're doing like 8 interviews. So we'll have, we'll see what the talent looks like. But at least we can do that and then probably shut down the listing, but to know we can open it back up anytime we want is alleviating, so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see really what the future holds. And, again, my exposure to the automation that's available, I was just mind blown.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's as much as people want to look at it as like a curse, like it's going to replace everybody. Well, we're replacing people that don't want to do it anyway.
That's the thing is when you back to your, factory or, high production positions, the longevity, for people is not usually there with those jobs. Now, back in the industrial era, that's what everybody was trained for, and that's what everybody wanted. Post World War II,
right?
And that was a different time. These fucking retards can make $1 million a month on Instagram or TikTok now,
right?
19, 20-year-olds aren't going to the factories anymore.
Yeah, right.
It just doesn't happen. And stay-at-home moms just got to show their butthole, and they make $50,000 a month.
Right.
So
I'm still waiting for the male equivalent of something like OnlyFans. Like there's no job a male can do that brings in revenue like a woman on OnlyFans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, what can I drizzle on my toes to make some money? I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I had pretty feet or ugly feet, but somebody would pay to see it. I'm convinced of that.
There's some fucking weirdo in his basement in Germany beating off to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like squishing pudding between his toes while he's watching honey drip on mine.
Oh, God.
Not that I've thought this out.
The visual of this is just making me queasy.
Is that code for horny?
Yeah. Be whatever you want it to be, Josh.
Holy shit. Dude, good to have you back in.
Yeah. Glad Talent made his way back.
Oh, God.
That shirt was a hit, too.
They did. Everybody loved it.
That one's, you're going to have to order me another one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Ryan and I got a little rowdy that night, so it's, the armpit got ripped out of it. Yeah.
So that's the shirt you tore.
Yeah.
As I heard that you had damaged some gear. Nice.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. You'll get that on them big jobs,
That's right.
We had a fucking blast, though. That was such a good night.
What a good
time. It was good to let loose with, like, some good old boys like that, Like, it reminded me of my pipeline days a little bit. And, we get pretty fucking rowdy in the pipeline game. And it was good to let loose and just,
And
no anger or anything like that. We were just getting rowdy.
Well, and you were drinking at sea level, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could drink all fucking night doing that.
Yeah, you're conditioned a little differently.
Yeah. So is my liver. So.
Conditioned. We'll say conditioned, not damaged. Pickled liver.
It's being preserved.
Pickled. Oh, Jesus. I do want to make another announcement. The toolbox is changing this month.
I thought you were going to say you were pregnant.
I am with child. I have questions. As hopefully everyone does. The toolbox is getting added to, rebuilt. By the middle of the month, there's going to be about 60 videos in there, and we're dropping the price to $19.95. So
sweet.
Wait till everything is official before you subscribe. If you are already subscribed, the price is going to adjust for you too. So we're going to change the pricing and everything. And I am eliminating the annual purchase option. So what we used to have is if you bought a year, you get an hour of, coaching was included. The complexity of that and keeping track of that, we're doing away with it. So it's going to be a monthly membership only. But, look at the Instagram. There's going to be a lot of info coming out for that. Once that's completely relaunched, then you can sign up for it. And it's worth its weight in gold, my friends. But
don't I know it?
It's a really good low-cost option for people that don't necessarily want one-to-one coaching, but still want access to all the information. So it's getting out. But that's me. Do you have anything left, my friend?
No, I'm good.
What time is it?
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
That's what happens when you get here early.
I know.
You can get to leave early.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you can find Nate on Instagram at Nate Newton 87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there and get shit done. Be proud of it, tradesman. See you.